CBS News chief Washington correspondent and Face the Nation anchor John Dickerson is with us from Washington. John, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie.
So what message after this is the country to think about the president and also about the challenge facing all of us?
Well, the message from the president over the last 3 days has been that the racists in Charlottesville were wrong, but then on sort of the same plane, he put that there was contributory violence from the counter-protesters. And I think the other thing people are left with is that a president who has made his reputation and whose supporters always talk about his bluntness and the powerful force he speaks about big truths and maybe doesn't spend so much time on the facts, in this particular case, didn't seem as worked up about the big truth here, which was that you had neo-Nazis and white supremacists marching, but seemed really anxious to wrestle this fact to the ground about the fact that there were some people on the left who were protesting. And this is a lack of proportion when the ideas we're talking about here are direct threats and directly in opposition to the founding principles of the country he leads.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've got Democrats and Republicans who are now coming out criticizing the president, who did not seem to denounce David Duke's support. What do you make of the implications of that, John?
Well, for Republicans in particular, they have to distance themselves from the president. And the question is whether this is anything that can be repaired, because the president has now spoken twice on this issue and has not met the moment. And you have, particularly for Republicans, they will always be faced with being asked about this. Anybody who makes remarks that can be received approvingly by Imperial Wizard of the KKK, David Duke, is just somebody that Republicans can't embrace. And so how do you work on infrastructure, for example, now? Democrats are not going to be able to vote for anything that's supported by a president who has said these kinds of remarks and who seems ready to keep fighting about this and John, to the exclusion of all else.
John, do we expect people who are now working for the president at the highest level to say, this has gone too far, I cannot stand for this, and I have to leave this administration?
Well, it is a new challenge for those people, because it's both the specifics of the case, which is the lack of a blunt and clear message about thoroughly objectionable ideas, but then it's also about just chaos and lack of control in a White House, and whether you want to continue being towards that. Also, this is it's in siege moment, and so it's not going to get much better.
John Dickerson, thank you for joining us this morning.